Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. Along with host Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. Our special guest today is Eunice head football coach Greg Jackson. His Cardinals beat Jal 28-14 for the 2A championship, right? 2A?
Yes, sir. Yes,
For the
sir.
2A championship. And I'll tell you what, Coach, it's really great to have you on. You've got a great program out there, and I thought it was fitting. Like I said, this program is about highlighting all programs throughout the state, not just 5A or 6A, man. And I think it's important that we get you on. So welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. I feel very fortunate. Yeah, we have a great program because we have great kids and great support. So to highlight those young men and what they've accomplished, I'm very excited to be a part of it.
You know, Coach, talk about, we had a chance to watch you last spring at University Stadium. Of course, there was no championship games last year. And you went into this season, you beat Jal 28-14, and we're going to go over some of your statistics here. You had a couple of faux pas in the middle of the season here. You actually lost to Jal 40-38, and then you came back and beat them 28-15, and a close game against Hagerman 34-28. But the next time you played them, 54-3. So you must have learned something from the first time you beat them, and then you really widened that gap the second time. But talk to us a little bit about it's a fantastic program there. Talk to us a little bit. You've got two state championships in 19 and 21, and the 2021 we mentioned the most recent championship 2 Saturdays ago. Talk to us a little bit about the building of this Cardinal program out there.
Well, I think that first off, you have to look at what I inherited, which was already a very, very good program. Coach Stevens did a great job of laying the groundwork. And then when I took over in June of 2019, it was about trying to sell the idea of propelling the program higher than it was. And I told the kids, there's no rear view mirror on a rocket ship. We're just all about going forward and trending in the right direction. They bought in and they work extremely hard. The 10 weeks of the regular season of a football season here in Eunice is the most anticipated 10 weeks on the calendar for the community. It is a football town. I mean, we try to put our best foot forward, and we love our baseball and we love basketball and the track kids, but football is a big deal here. And the kids buy in. We have great participation, and we build it on the tenets of hard work, determination, dedication, all the things that the world seems to be trending away from because we want instant gratification. We're trying to teach these kids that if you buy in, if you put in the work, that good things will come about. And thankfully they've done that, and they've reaped the benefits of doing that.
Any kind of program is going to take what you mentioned. Of course, your father, Bob Jackson, coached 6 different state championship teams, 2 track and field championships at JAL in 1991 and 92, 2 cross-country championships at Laguna Acoma High School in 92 and 93, and then 2 more cross-country championships at Hobbs High School in 2014 and 2015. So they always say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Tell us what your father instilled in you. Again, I coached some basketball, right? My son coached some basketball. And tell us what your father instilled in you as far as coaching and what you learned from him. Your mother also is a educator. And so what did you learn from both of them?
Just to have a passion for what you do. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, then all the other things will work themselves out. But man, they taught me how to work hard, and they taught me the value of hard work, and that you're going to get out of things what you put into them. And if we're pouring ourselves into the youth of Lee County, which we have for my parents, for both of them over 30 years, and I've been doing it for 13, and my sister's an administrator in Lovington. My wife's a teacher. This is our life's work. This is our mission work. This is our exactly what we want to do and the place we want to do it in. And to see all that come to fruition in positive forms and manifest itself in positive ways, that's just what we grew up on. And yeah, Dad's still doing it, and he'll actually be inducted into the Lee County Sports Hall of Fame on Thursday, which is pretty amazing because he's an amazing man. We're very different people. We have different styles, but the groundwork and the foundation of what we do is very similar. and setting extremely high expectations for kids and holding ourselves to high expectations. Because if you don't ever set those high expectations, then they'll never reach them. So yeah, I owe a great deal of my success to my mother and my father and other coaches that I've worked with in the past that have helped me get to where I'm at today.
What a great honor it is for you and your, I'm sure your mother and your other family members to see your dad inducted. That's what an honor. Gosh, to see the fruits of your dad's work pay off and how many people's lives he's touched, right? Not only as a track cross country coach, as a teacher, sometimes the people's lives you touch have nothing to do with sports, nothing to do with them. A lot of people, don't question that you touch a lot of lives, but you're also an educator. Your mom's an educator. How many lives are touched every day just by teaching, right? The things that we teach, you teach in the classroom and the way you teach it. You mentioned having a different style from your father. I had to smile at that. I'm sure there's similarities as well, right? Because the apple doesn't, sometimes my son will say things in the same manner that I did in the same tone. I'll look like, oh my goodness, man. DNA is amazing thing sometimes, and I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe that wasn't so funny what I said then, the way I said it, because he said it and it's annoying. So I think sometimes, I'm sure your father and your mother, again, sound like amazing people. You also ran track in college and you were 2005 All-American for South Plains. I went to Eastern and began your teaching and coaching career at Lovington High School. Tell us a little bit about when you're an All-American track runner, again, that's not easy. It's for South Plains, and again, lessons learned there, right? Lessons learned. What'd you learn about preparation, coaching, teaching? What'd you learn there? Because it's not easy, Coach, to be an All-American, man. It's not.
No, it was wild. Junior college life is wild, but I had a great coach, a guy by the name of James Morris, who coached multiple Olympians, multiple All-Americans. It was interesting to get coaching from someone that I didn't grow up with that had the pedigree that he did. And South Plains was good to me. I was a part of a 4x800 meter relay team that to this day, we should have won the race. We ended up getting second, but it was wild and it was a good time. And then South Plains, the year after I left, went on a 11 or 12-year run of winning national championships. But you learn how to win championships and you learn how to prepare for championship seasons because regardless of sport, if they're going to give a championship out at the end of the year, you have to know how to prepare, how to peak at the right time, and beyond the physical, all the mental stuff that goes into getting yourself ready to perform at the highest level possible at the most important times.
Tell you what, that's important, those lessons there, because people don't understand. I've watched sports. I've been involved with sports since I was 9 years old. 50 years. 50 years I've been involved as a player, as a coach, as an official. And to win a championship, even one, is very, very difficult. Everything has got to go right, right? And it's then the uncontrollables, the things the injuries. And now with COVID, right? COVID, that comes out of the blue. Everything's okay. And all of a sudden, somebody has an infection, has to go out for COVID. There's even more things that you're dealing with now as a coach, right? Even more things. So to have that level of excellence, it's not easy. And people think, oh man, why didn't they win? How come they didn't win? Could have been a number of things. So when you do win, boy, I tell you what, it's definitely a reason to celebrate, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Championships, man. I know great coaches and I've been around coaches my entire life. I know great ones that never won one and they should have. And it wasn't because they weren't good coaches. It just, to get it all right at the right time is extremely hard to do. We were in Hobbs from 93 and it took my dad till 2014 before he won one. And I know how good of a coach he was, but it took that long to get everything right. And sometimes it happens and everything falls correctly. And sometimes it doesn't, but you still have to put your kids in the best situation possible to be successful, because that's what you're paid to do. You're paid to put kids in the best situations possible to succeed.
Well, I'll tell you what, and again, it comes down sometimes to a bounce here and a bounce there for sure. And sometimes, like you said, the last couple of years, it's definitely bounced the Cardinals' way. But there's a lot of hard work that goes into that, right? To any preparation for any season. We're going to take a look at these highlights now that we have from your game, and maybe you can see them there and tell us what we're looking at. Of course, the game was at Eunice, right?
No, it was in JAL.
Okay.
JAL, yeah, because of the way we do our playoffs, we had played JAL in 77 here in Eunice, so we owed them. And yeah, these are just some of the scoring plays. Man, they made it tough on us. We tried to be very balanced, and they wanted to force us to the point where we couldn't run the football. So that forced us to kind of be one-dimensional. Here you get to see our quarterback's arm, man. He's got a big one, and we were able to get loose on a corner route, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin, if you will. And that's Ashton Thompson. He's a sophomore, going to be a great player. And then right here at the end, celebrating on the field, man, it doesn't get better than that in small school football. And when you're talking about two teams separated by 23 miles, it adds a lot, because this is everything to not only the kids, but to the communities as well. So yeah, it was a sweet day. I don't know if I'll ever have one like that ever again.
Well, how did it feel? You mentioned that 23 miles. I liken that to Coach Hennington coming from Belen to Los Lunas and winning one. Right. That's akin to going from the Hatfields to the McCoys, man, because Belen and Los Lunas, they got a nice, healthy Valencia County rivalry. There's no question about it, right? So Coach Hennington wins a championship. But how did that feel just down the road? And sometimes I think, Coach, it's great to win at home, right? But sometimes, man, you go on the road and you hear just the silence of that stadium. You hear your fans, but sometimes it's sweet to win on the road too.
I've been fortunate enough to be on both sides of it. Won in 19. We beat Texaco here at home, and that was amazing. It was awesome, super crowd. Everything was great. But then this year to beat JAL in JAL and then turn around, when we got onto the highway that leads into Eunice, it was wall to wall. I mean, curb to curb people on a championship type parade atmosphere coming in, and that was just so cool. And yeah, it's really good to see JAL get back to the level that they're at. They had some years where they were pretty lean, and so it wasn't as good of a rivalry as it had been. So when both teams are really, really good, as we were, and they were some battles, it intensifies everything. And there were so many people, and it was so packed, standing room only, super loud from beginning to end, and both schools were represented very well.
Had to enjoy that. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with Eunice head football coach Greg Jackson after these messages on the sports desk. Great job.
And Stephen West is going to win this one very handily. What a dominating performance from Stephen West. And that is Ellery Battle, your 2021 5A Girls NMAA State Cross Country Champion.
Trying to get to it. Here's Michael Wan, and they're trying to get a counterattack for Hashigan. Hashigan, she's going to have the shot in the goal. Sandia Prep, Hashigan.
Second and 18 now at the Bernalillo 32-yard line. Rivera back to pass, rolls goes right, under pressure. Throwing across his body to Garris. Garris breaks one tackle. Garris could be in the end zone, and he is. Touchdown, Vernon. Touchdown, Academy. 32.
Long shot for goal. And we're all tied up. It's Christian Contreras with the goal.
All right, Gerardo drops back, a little bit of pressure. He goes deep to Valdez right away. Caught it, walks the sideline, and it's going to be a touchdown. Oh, nastiness.
I mean, how is this not prevent?
Your entire secondary should be back.
There he is again, under pressure. Looking at the corner of the end zone. It's a pylon, and no signal yet.
That's a touchdown.
It's got to be, right? No signal.
Give him the touchdown.
The people's champ with a catch. Touchdown!
That's
Touchdown!
Like that, something's going to go in. A header by Wagner. Wagner, the left-footed shot, and he will score another. How did that happen?
Wow, he made a nice little flick past the guy and then basically just took a quick step, muscled his way in there, and on his lesser used foot, tucks it away with the left.
Third and 17. Giannis the play fake, trying to go around left end. He's got some room. And a blocker in front. Down the left side. Giannis might break it for the touchdown. I don't think anyone's going to catch Giannis. Touchdown. 52-yard touchdown run by David Giannis.
And Nevin Sapatka can't find his spot. It's Sanchit Singh that he's trying to find. Singh will lift it up for Sapatka. Last chance. Does he get it? Yes, he does. Nevin Sapatka finishes the game. The shirt comes off, and the Chargers back-to-back champions as they beat Lovington in overtime again. Wagner, flags stay down. Wagner, he's going to cut some room, and he's going to seal it. A 4-goal game, Alex Wagner.
The energy landscape is limitless and ever-changing. Cleaner energy resources are crucial to New Mexico's environment. For 100 years, PNM has utilized cutting-edge technology and employed hard-working New Mexicans to ensure that we have consistent, reliable energy when we need it. For life's loudest moments, quietest moments, and every moment in between. We're dedicated to providing you with energy now and into the future. All you have to do is dream of what to do with it next.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. Along with producer Alden Iwani, I'm your host, Ed Nunez. Special guest today is Eunice head football coach Greg Jackson. His Cardinals beat Jal 2 weeks ago for the 2A championship, 28-15. And it's your second championship, coach, and your overall record was 9-3. And we talked about that a little bit. And I want to go over some of your games here. Now, you start out against Raton, losing 35-0. Eunice over Estancia, 59-8. Open week, Eunice over Hot Springs, 54-6. Eunice over Dexter, Eunice over Texaco. Losing to Lubbock Christian, which Lubbock Christian's a pretty good team. You lost to Jal, 40-38. Beat Hagerman, beat Loving, beat Hagerman. Beat them good. It beat Tularosa, and then beat Jal 28-15. Was there anything you took away? A little faux pas in the middle of the season there when you lost 2 of 3. You lost 2 successive games to Lubbock Christian and to Jal. And, and things happen during any season. I don't care what anybody says, right? During any championship season, there's some pockmarks and some rocks in the road, right?
Absolutely.
What did you get out of losing 2 straight games? What did your team get out of that?
That was rough. We're sitting there, and I know we have a good team, and I don't mean to sound cocky or egotistical. I just know these kids, and man, we went over to Lubbock Christian, thought we were really going to have a shot, had seen their film, thought we were really going to be able to play with them. Nope. Those dudes are different. And then we turn around and we don't play very good against Jal. We have some kids out, some close contact quarantines and things like that. And we just didn't play very well. So 2 successive weeks of not upholding the standard. For one reason or another, and you can make a million excuses, but we're sitting there at 4-3, and I'm sitting there going, well, you either have one of two ways we can go about this. So we sat there, and it was Jal's first time to beat Eunice in like 14 years. And I sat there, and we were in our post-game huddle, and I just told him, listen, look, watch, soak it in. This is what your life is going to be if we do not get back to what makes us successful. So we had to have a little gut check time there, where we're having to really realign ourselves with what has made us successful. And thankfully they did. They took it to heart, and we were able to rattle off 5 straight to finish the year. And going 9-3 was always the goal after that. That was it.
Sometimes those meeting of the minds, the kid's going to buy in, right? Are they everybody on the same page? And it seems like they were. Let's go over some of your fantastic players here. We got to talk about Connor Hurd-Pierce. 144, 280 on the season, 2,586 yards, 33 touchdowns. Unbelievable. 180 carries, 652 yards, 13 touchdowns on the ground. Talk to us about him. And we'll go through some of these other players because we want to get them all in. But talk to us about your fantastic quarterback, Connor Hurd-Pierce.
Oh, Connor, man, he's one of a kind. He's an ultimate competitor. I never doubted whether or not I was going to get 110%. I mean, he left everything on the field every time he played. And we didn't have a really big back, a really strong back. Micah Tippett was our running back, but Conacher's 210 pounds, and he runs downhill. So being able to use him both as a runner in a fullback type capacity, and then his arm strength is just next level. Aside from Gavin Hardison, who's the starting quarterback at UTEP, and Mason Caperton, who's his stepbrother, he's got as big an arm and as good an arm as anybody I've ever coached. So
really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So he's just got some skills that really make him very, very good. And then he learned how to be a quarterback because he really didn't have a whole lot of experience. He had played some JV games as a sophomore, which was our last normal year. But Mason was our starting quarterback, so he didn't get any reps on the varsity level. And then last year we went with an more option type look with Hayden Dean in the 5 games that we had. So this was his first full year as a starting quarterback, first real reps as a starting quarterback. And it took a little while, but eventually he got it right. And I mean, he throws 15 touchdown passes to 1 interception through the 3 games of the playoffs. And man, he got it right at the right time.
What a rating he must have. He's a junior then?
No, unfortunately he is a senior.
Almost recruiting that guy for sure. Yeah, gosh, what a season. We're going to go over these players. I'm going to mention some, and we don't have time to but I'm just going to mention the players. Micah Tippett, 144 carries, your running back, 1,132 yards, 10 touchdowns with 21 receptions out of the backfield for 381 yards. Ashton Thompson, the sophomore slot receiver, 32 receptions for 717 yards and 12 touchdowns. Jorge Ortega, the other senior slot, 31 receptions, 486 yards. And then on defense, 55 tackles, 1 sack, 4 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 touchdown. Brandon Trevino, the junior linebacker, 91 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Zach Benton, senior, 23 receptions, 369 yards. Sean Stinson, 25 receptions, 455 yards. Ovi Ontiveros, 88 tackles, 14 sacks. Wow, man. That guy, they got a chip block that guy, and he still got him. So let's go on your stats here. Rushing 2,171 yards on the season for 27 touchdowns. Passing 2,627 yards for 34 touchdowns. Total offense on the season, 4,798 yards, nearly 400 yards a game, 399.8 yards per game. And we'll get to your defensive stats in a minute here as far as your overall stats. How did you lose, man? I mean, with stats and ball players like that and getting people in space, people are going to say, how did you ever lose? Because those are great stats, really.
And that's a testament to the kids, man. They just bought in and they were able to execute. And when they executed at a very high level, they were unstoppable. Coach Gleghorn is my biggest football mentor, Charles Gleghorn, who I coached with in Hobbs for 7 years. And that guy taught me more about football than anybody ever could. And so I brought a lot of what we do in Eunice is stuff that had made us successful in Hobbs. I'm a little bit more balanced, but I like to run the football. So those guys, man, just hearing it sounds crazy, but just great kids that bought in, and man, their hard work paid off, and they were able to make the most of the gifts and talents they've been given. So that's a big testament to them.
You talk about balance there, and I don't know that that's such a balance on offense and defense. It'd be hard for Dexter or anybody that plays you to game plan. You got to try to stop Connor Pierce, the slot receiver, the running back. That's hard to stop. And I'll tell you what, you just mentioned to us too that you were watching some plays from the championship with Los Lunas and Artesia. So you're still, the mind is with the players you have to try to get them in space, get them the ball. It never stops, even when you win a championship for sure. I wanted to get a good quote here from somebody that knows you. Greg was a good athlete in high school. I remember him as a young coach who really wanted to learn as a student of the game. He grew up around it and in Hobbs with his dad and other coaches. Also mentioned your sister Lacey is one of the best track athletes at high school level he's ever seen. And that comes from Bruce Carver, the former athletic director at Hobbs, who, the athletic director of Cleveland Rio Rancho now, a former basketball star at Eunice, as he always lets me know, make sure I remember that. And I understand he's quite the legend at Eunice High School. So Bruce was kind enough to supply me with that quote, who I just love to death. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Carver, man, that guy, he's an all-time great. Yeah, he's been very supportive of me and my family, and they're lifelong friends, good family friends. Great guy. Can't say enough good things. And then I walk around Eunice and I still hear stories, but they're usually in like hushed whispers that, he's so held in such high regard. So great guy.
Yeah, he was a heck of a basketball player. It's funny because he's a little bit older than me, but I'm like, hey, man, let's go, because I played too, right? And let's go one more game. Let's go, baby. I got one more game, and it's for you. Well, always, of course, athletes always talk like that, right? They're my best game has passed me by, a long time ago, but you always think you got one more left. Let's go on your defensive stats here. 31 sacks, 14 forced fumbles, fumbled and kick recoveries, 15, interceptions, 15, defensive touchdowns, 2. So look at that. You're creating short fields for that offense. And again, how did you lose, man? Those are great defensive stats. Talk to us a little bit about your defense.
Coach Reed, Bobby Reed is our defensive coordinator, and he does a great job of putting those kids in places to be successful. Everybody asks, well, what do you run defensively? Whatever's going to stop the offense, that's what we run. And so it changes week to week, and these kids are, man, the number one thing that we try to get them to do is be students of the game. And they are, by the time they're into their late in their junior year and their senior year, these kids we can just line up and they understand the game well enough to be really, really successful. But the number one thing, aside from being students of the game, is we preach that they have to play with extremely, extremely high motors, that effort's never something that we can ever have to coach. You just have to bring it, because if you don't bring it in Eunice, we got 50, 55 kids out. We'll find somebody else that'll bring it. So they play with extremely high motors. Their effort is incredible, but that's just a spillover from practice, because every day is a competition just to get on the field.
Coach Greg Jackson, the Eunice Cardinals champions. They beat Jal 28-13. We appreciate you being our guest on the Sports Desk, sir.
Man, it's been an honor. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll get you on. We'll get you back on for sure. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.